Hey everyone, it's Kim Beegler, owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill, and we are here at the wool mill at the carder, and I have got some Targhee wool that has been in some previous episodes as we've been working up to this point that we are going to card. If you're new, welcome. I talk a lot about owning a mill, processing wool, hand spinning, knitting, all the things, sometimes sewing, sometimes sourdough, whatever happens. And if you're coming back, thank you. You may recognize this wool because we have been working on it for a bit. I did an unboxing maybe 2 episodes ago. We skirted it, cold washed it, and we are here at the carder. And I think in this episode, we are picking it too. We're gonna go backwards. You don't get to see the carding yet. We're gonna have to do some other work first because that's part of owning a wool mill, right? You don't just get to have the beautiful wool raw and then head straight to carding and spinning. So we're gonna backtrack a little bit. I can't remember what the other videos are, but we will end up back here carding this Targhee. So let's get to it. Okay, so this is this beautiful fleece. I think this may have been in a video that we skirted, maybe not. This is a Corriedale Romney. You can see that it's absolutely stunning. I've washed up the first batch of it, and I want to make sure, yes, that you can see. I washed up the first half of it already because it was a rather large fleece. Let's go look at it, you all, because it's probably one of the most beautiful fleeces I have worked with in a long time as far as washing it. Look at how gorgeous that is. Let me go in a little bit closer. And this is damp right now. It's beautiful. Let me take a little handful over and we'll put it side by side with the fleece that is not washed yet. So you can see the difference. Look at that. Gorgeous. So easy to wash. And it's got a decent amount of lanolin in it, but it is absolutely gorgeous. So it's time to wash up the rest of the fleece. And that's what I'm doing today. So if you haven't, I'm still here. Sorry, I'm kind of jockeying things around so that we can get in, and I don't need to be in view anymore. So you can just watch as I put this beautiful fleece in. For those of you that are new, this is the washing unit that I use. It is from Belfast Mini Mills out of Canada. And this is the machine that I probably could never let go of. Even if I'm not milling anymore, I don't know that I could let go of this machine because I just love it so let me put that out of the way. Usually I have it in a different spot, but today we're rolling how we're rolling. So you can see I do this with just about every fleece. I'm just kind of giving it a light open, and this fleece is really clean. Like, this is dirty. That's how dirty this fleece gets. It's really clean. So I did not feel any urge to cold soak it, and it washed up beautifully as you saw. So I am just giving it a kind of pulling it into some separate pieces. You can see I don't baby it. Wool is pretty tough stuff, as I've said before, so don't be afraid of it. Now, if you spent a ton of money, and this fleece it wasn't a ton of money, but it was not an inexpensive fleece. I bought this at Black Sheep Gathering. And I don't mind paying shepherds. Obviously there is a price point for me where I can't turn it around for you all and make it something that is, makes any sense. But I prefer to pay shepherds what they deserve for their wool whenever possible. And I think it's something that makes a lot of small mills, extra special. Is that while we love a good wool deal, don't get me wrong, I also do my best to make sure that the shepherds get a fair deal out of it because they put a lot of work into it. So, and I apologize, you all, today I do not have my microphone. I've had family in town, and my sister, the last family member, one of my sisters, just left. So, and I was like fighting to get to the mill at a decent time so I could catch some of this humidity because we actually had rain last night. And so we had breakfast with her, and then I was like, I gotta run. So I didn't bring everything. It was just like, get in the car and go. And I will be here until the machines basically tell me otherwise, because we have 100-degree temperatures coming, and that does not bode well for this building, which gets very, very warm. And it will most likely get very, very dry, which means that the combo of those two things, there's no point in being here, really. But you'll see in a minute. We're going to go over to the picker, and I'll show you what I'm working on there. if I can get stuff through the picker, I can condition the heck out of it and we can move onward to the carder. So that's kind of my goal today, but washing helps create some humidity. So we're doing that also. And I think that's all I've got to report. Just want you to see. That's probably not the most beautiful, but let me grab some of this up close and personal so you can really get a good idea of this fleece. Gorgeous. And I mean, like I said, this is like, and this isn't even how most of the tips look. That's how dirty. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal fleece. So again, it's a Corriedale Romney. I love Romney. And I love when things are sheep are crossed. I think that they can just make some of the most gorgeous wool. So, okay, I'm going to finish doing this, get this started, and we're going to run over to the picker and see what I've got going on over there today. Okay, we are at the picker, and this is Targhee. This is the Targhee that we cold soaked in last episode and washed up, and I am desperate to get this through because this is probably my best chance for the next couple weeks. And I wish that we didn't have the weather we have recently, but it's supposed to be in the hundreds. Okay, so I'm going to try to adjust the volume on this later, but what I want you to see is how light I have to run this. So if you've watched other videos, sometimes I can really, like a wrong fleece, I can just kind of barely touch it, put it on the intake belt, and let it rip. With this Targhee, this is a 23 micron, so it's not the most fine, but it is a finer one, and it just means that it's more susceptible to breakage and different things, and it is a beautiful fleece. It washed up really well. It doesn't have that much VM, which it did kind of when we were unboxing it. Did we unbox it 2 weeks before that, maybe? I can't remember. Maybe it was in the last episode. Anyway, the point is, it's a beautiful fleece, and I just have to be mindful of my equipment and the conditions in the middle. And I am when I came in, we were at 54% humidity, and already we are down to 47%. So I am losing the ability to do this quickly. So I'm doing this super, super thin, and you can see how much picking I am doing in advance. I'm like doing a pre-pick, basically. I'm really trying to separate it out so it's not all stuck together, because otherwise it'll start to just pull big chunks of it up at a time, and I'm really opening up the locks a lot. And I have figured out that if I just do a batch at a time, maybe like half pound to a pound at the most, if I do it really nice and light, then kind of take a break and let the machine rest, I think that helps alleviate the static that's starting to build up in it, and then we can start again. I kind of make sure I get anything out of the machine that's gotten caught up, because what'll happen is it'll start to get caught up in these front rollers, and it'll start to get caught up on the big drum where the teeth are, and then static starts to happen because the fiber is passing other fibers and they start to get staticky, and it grabs them. It just becomes, quickly it will escalate into a big hot mess. So it seems that if I really do some good picking, not as good as if I was going to hand pick this, I would open it up a lot more. So I'm kind of doing the preliminary, and then I'm letting the machine do the rest. And it seems that we have struck a balance that it is telling me it will let me ride this out a little bit longer. The mill was down to about 40%. It's been down to like in the 30s, and it's just, there's no way. Also, it tends to get very warm because this is an old building, and it doesn't have a lot of cross ventilation, and then the more fans I run, the drier it gets in here, right? So I have to just watch all those things. So at a certain point, I just call it. And Wish moves home to live in my studio, and she's here now for a couple days for this week. I'll probably take her home tomorrow as the temperatures start to go up. So you can see how thin I'm doing this, but I'm not seeing any buildup anywhere along the way, which is great. And you can also see why I have to charge more, and a lot of us mills, not everybody does, but we all should, charge more when things like this take that extra time, right? If I tried to sell this sold a raw knee fleece that I can pick in a quarter of the time, it just doesn't pan out. So I always like to sort of educate on why. There's so many reasons why you're buying more for locally sourced product, and this is one of them. If you were at a giant mill, they would have different equipment, different everything, right? And they also would be paying significantly less for the wool than what I tend to pay and or like to pay. So again, like I said, there is a cutoff where it just doesn't make sense. You all aren't going to want to pay the price that I have to put on it, but everybody in this industry works really hard, and honestly, most of us don't make what we should, starting with the shepherds. So anyway, keep that in mind, and when you can, buy small and local. Also, I will stand behind that hand spinning white wool is different if you get it from a mill versus getting just commercially processed white top. There's so much more life left in this fiber, I believe, because it's not so heavily processed. So, okay, I'll get off my wool soapbox, and we'll leave. Of course, I'll have a soapbox for you at the end. The state of the states. Okay, so let you see what the other end is looking like, and I've got some over here on the end. I'm going to leave this so I don't accidentally leave a giant clump and make a mess. But let's go see. So we've got a lot of wool. As I told you, I'm just picking. So these three are Targhee here. We've got some Corriedale that has already been conditioned. We have a little more Corriedale that hasn't been conditioned, so that's why it's over here. And of course, I'm talking, so I didn't get here. Let me put some more fiber on and you can watch it come out. But I'm not getting a lot of static in the picker, so that's a good thing. So be patient for just a second. I'll do a little more fiber on there. It's going to be pretty light because of how light I'm running it. It's coming! Alright, hopefully you can see a little of that coming through. It's pretty light, like I said, because I'm running it so light, but that's what you have to do with some of these finer fibers in general. So, okay, you all, that's where we're at today, I think. I'm going to go sweat a little bit and keep picking until everything tells me you're done. Okay, see ya at the next step. Okay, everyone, we're back. I told you we would get to carding this Targhee, and here we are. And I have the light on right now, but when I am not processing on camera, I do not have the light on because, again, I am fighting humidity, and I'm fighting to keep humidity, basically, and I don't want to lose it by lights, fans, anything like that. We are getting some extra days of nice weather, and only like 2 days that are around 100, so that's great. It was at first like a big long stretch, so we're excited about that. So things that I am doing different with this, sorry, I just wanted to see if you would see me in here or not, so I don't do anything too embarrassing. So the things I'm doing different with this Targhee to make it run well. So this was about a 23 micron fleece, so not as fine certainly as it could be. I try to avoid much finer than this for sure. And it's a very dense wool. It's very hit and miss how Targhee processes for me. I don't do it very often. And I was definitely not going to hand pick this, so there you go. Which would be a little bit more gentle on it. Okay, so I am, and this is carding up well. I did just do a little practice spin because it looks ugly coming through the carder, but it spun up really well. There is a little bit of pilling in it. There's second cuts. There's some second cuts, things like that are just what they are. But it did not affect the yarn that I was spinning, which I was happy to see. So what I am doing different is I'm running this about a third the weight I would usually run fiber through here. So I generally run a feed around 3 ounces. This is around 2 ounces. I have the machine slowed down as well to be a little bit nicer to this slightly more fragile wool. And those are kind of the big differences. And I conditioned the living bejesus out of it because I need it to not static. We definitely don't want this fiber to static. So that's where we're at, and now I'm feeding it, and it is a lot thinner, but because it's such a dense, light wool, it doesn't actually look like it's that much lighter than that we're missing a whole ounce off of this. So I'm just opening it up. I'm doing a little bit of picking. There's some VM. A lot of it, more than I thought, is dropping out. I didn't come across a ton of it while I was spinning, but it is just the nature of wool. You know, if you don't like VM, then you should definitely just get fleeces and or roving that are either commercially processed to the top or have been coated, so there's going to be very minimal VM. This is not heavy VM, I wouldn't say, but let's go take a peek and see how we're doing here. And I do have lights off, but you can see how this does not look. Let me get in a little bit. It doesn't look that pretty. Like, there's quite a bit of buildup on my intake rollers there. It looks a little funky-dory, but as it goes through, and we'll open up the carder and you can see these little, what looks like lots of pilling does get stretched out by the machine. So there it is, but you can see it gets a little more caught up in the machine. So cleaning this is gonna be less than my favorite thing to do, but because it's carding up well, taking one for the team. Taking one for the team. So let's come over and take a peek at it coming out. All right, here it is coming out, and I am pretty happy with it. Like I said, there may be a point where I have to stop and clean up the carder a little bit to clean out some of the little bit of pilling that's happening, but it actually is doing pretty well. And I'm gonna stop the machine here in a minute. Look how pretty that is. Ooh, la la. Just to show you what I'm talking about when I talk about pilling. So let me find a good spot where it'll be more obvious. So you can kind of see these little pills. We call them pills. Whether they're second cuts or whether the fiber broke a little bit here and there are a fair amount of second cuts. It is something with finer wool. There tend to be, you know, it just depends. Just depends how the shear does, but you can kind of see some little specks in there. We'll say specks. But they were not affecting the yarn because they're really tiny, and some of them will stretch out as you're spinning. So, but if you're super picky about what you want to spin, this may not be for you, and that's okay. But I will spin some for you later, and I'll try to have a sample too, and then you can kind of see how the yarn looks when it's finished. But oof, this is gorgeous. This is going to be next to Skin Soft. It would make a beautiful shawl. Somebody mentioned, I think in my Patreon group, I'm going to start this up, that they had just finished their first hand knit hand spun, and it was Targhee, and I believe they did a shawl, and I'll have to look it up, but it would be absolutely a stunning fiber for that. So, okay, onward we shall go. Hey everyone, it's spinning time, and I am at home sitting here with my little e-spinner getting ready to spin some Targhee, and hopefully everything isn't too distracting in the background. I'm trying to just keep it easy so I get these videos out, so that's what we're doing. I've been getting up early to tend to flowers. These are some of the flowers that I have out front. Beautiful, beautiful dahlias, and some zinnias as well. There's flowers everywhere. It's gone crazy. And I have to get up really early because it's the best time to cut them, and also the amount of bees is almost unreal. And majority bumblebees, but there's just every type of bee. And if I get up really early, like as the sun is rising or just as it's coming over the hills, they're still sleeping, and so I can do lots of work, and they're very gentle. You know, I'm mindful of them, and they don't mind me as long as I don't, you know, squish them with my hands or something. So, but when they're sleeping, it's a little bit easier for me. I mean, during the day, they're just swarmed anyway. Anyway, getting up early. Mitch has been working nights on the farm because it's been so hot. It's the best time for him to be out tractor driving, so our schedule's a little crazy. But we are here, and I have got the Targhee, and I'm gonna turn this on and spin a little bit while I talk. So I decided to, my speed went down a little bit. And I don't know if I'm spinning on the right side. So let's see that first, right? Because that's what we do when we start spinning, is like, are we spinning from the right side? And it feels pretty smooth to me. So I'm gonna go with this works. I mean, it doesn't really matter as far as right side versus wrong side, as long as you're able to get a nice, easy spin. So always remember, check the other side of your fiber if you're not getting an easy spin out of it and you think it should be easier. So we are spinning this Targhee. I'm going to try the other side real quick. I always kind of just whoop do, and I haven't been spinning on e-spinners very much. I sat out this morning after catching up a little bit and had some coffee and sat out here and enjoyed the morning. They're both kind of equally, I would say, at this moment. I could change my mind later. Anyway, nope, like the other side. Okay. For me, it's just about the smoothness of it. If you kind of feel like you're pulling at tangles or anything like that, there's a very good chance you're spinning from a side that is not, the other side may spin better. Okay, so the Targhee, the reason I thought of spinning it on this wheel or this e-spinner is because I can get a nice thin yarn very easily on this e-spinner, and I'm spinning it short forward because it's a beautiful soft yarn, and I think that the extra twist will do, it'll do just fine. It won't get too tough or too ropey or anything like that. So I'm just doing a nice short forward. My hands are nice and light, and that's where we're at. I'll show you this when I'm done. Before that, what I'm mainly spinning on here, so I'm just sampling this for you all, but what I have on there, I think I cannot remember right now. It's a merino and Angora rabbit, I believe. And it's beautiful. It's the second. Linda and Cammie got it for me as a gift, and I loved it so much they brought me a second little batch of it. So I'm spinning up the second batch. So there's a little bit of neps in here, but not too bad. Occasionally I'll stop and pull, but it's spinning pretty smoothly. It's going to be a beautiful yarn. So you all, let's talk soapbox for a minute, right? I had to wake my husband up this morning. Well, I didn't wake him up. He was awake. But I was like, let's talk about the soapbox for a minute, because I wanted to make sure I was giving you all accurate information to the best of my ability, right? So the soapbox, I thought I would talk just a little bit about an update on being farmers during this crazy time in the US, because we have heard the administration say in the past how much they love farmers and they would not do anything to hurt farmers in this country. And yet, farmers are being hurt in this country. And so just in case you haven't been watching or you don't know our story, the primary thing that we do that feeds us is grass seed farming. My husband and his dad farm together, and it's a multi-generation farm. There was grass seed farming. I believe it started in the 50s, but his grandfather was grass seed farming. Anyway, so this is in the family, and basically what's happening now is tariffs are affecting the prices, and it's not just grass. We grow grass for the seed itself, which majority of it gets exported, right? It gets exported for different reasons, but I mean, mainly because those are the countries that want it, right? But it's used for growing grass, which is what a predominant amount of the animals that we eat would prefer to eat. I say prefer because that is not necessarily how the industry has gone. But so a lot of seed, it also gets used for lawns. I mean, there's lots of different purposes for grass seed, but a lot of it is exported. The majority of it is exported. Now, prices have dropped because of tariffs, and also demand has now dropped because what's happening is the countries that would usually buy seed from us, which is a lot of Asian countries, are now moving to Brazil and South America to buy a lot of these products because guess what? They can offer a lower price on it. Well, A, we're pissing people off, and so they don't necessarily want to buy US agriculture products or other products for that matter, right? So they can get these products elsewhere. Most products are grown in multiple places around the world, and so a lot of countries are moving to buying our product from other countries, and that's a problem, right? So here we are with an administration saying that for yet another trade, we are not here to hurt you, and yet it's not just us here in Oregon, but corn farmers, soybean prices are down and soybeans not moving. Like there's just a lot of product and a lot of farmers that are being impacted by this. And I should state that the product that we grow is not subsidized by the government. So meaning that if nobody buys our product, we don't get paid. The product doesn't move, it sits and it doesn't sell, and then there's no income. So it's a very frustrating time, and I am seeing a shift in, just as I watch different videos on farm updates, it does seem that people are being more realistic about the cause of this is this current administration, it's the tariffs, it's the economy, it's us ticking other countries off. So the trickle effect is starting to get real, and it's affecting a lot of people. And I forgot to follow up on the subsidy part. Yes, I think I said it enough, basically. Yeah, there are a lot of products in the U.S., or some products in the U.S., that are subsidized by the government as far as ag, and that means that the farmer gets paid a set price regardless of what the actual price of that product is, regardless of if the product moves. So those farms can depend on a certain price for their product, right? They know they're going to get paid by the federal government. We do not have that. There is no guarantee that we will get paid, as with a lot of businesses, right? So things are getting real. And I just kind of wanted to do a little update on what it looks like for some smaller farms in this country. And if the goal was to run family farms out of business so that corporate farms could take over, well, then, I suppose that's one way to do it. But that's kind of an update from some farm families. And of course, keep speaking up, right? What do we do? Keep speaking up. I will mention that one of the big things I would say is, and I know it's hard, and you can only do the best that you can do given what your financial status is and what you can afford. But remember that your money is power in this country. Your voice is power. Your money is power. Obviously, voting is power. But where you choose to spend your money does make a big difference. Imagine if so many people that are so upset right now decided not to support some of these big companies that are willing to cave to the current administration, what kind of a power we could have. So when you can, be mindful of where you're spending your money, where you're buying things from, and what impact that can have. Okay. I have spun some yarn, so I'm going to bring you in and show you what it looks like. I think it's going to be a really lovely yarn. It will go, I think we're having an update in Patreon this weekend. So if you haven't joined my Patreon community, this could be a great time. They get early birds, basically they get to buy all the fiber because I put the fiber up and most of the time it disappears. So if you're wondering where to get this fiber, join the Patreon community. There's lots of other things that come with it, in addition to just supporting the time it takes and the effort I put into sharing all about wool. So I think that's it. Of course, you can also get on my newsletter, and that's through the website. Everything is in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching, you all. I hope you're all doing well, and hope to see you next week. Until then, stay healthy. Be kind to your neighbor. Just because our current administration does not have empathy doesn't mean we can't be better and do better to our neighbors. So be kind to everybody. And of course, make so many pretty things. I am excited. I'm hoping to share some knitting updates and even some dyeing updates that I am doing on my first sweater quantity that I am dyeing of handspun wool. So, okay, let me show you this real quick, and then I'll just say goodbye while I'm showing it to you. Okay, I have to give you a close-up on some of these flowers because they're just happiness. Just happiness. And here is our yarn that we have spun up, and hopefully you'll be able to get a decent idea of what it looks like. But I think it is, even for having some little neps here and there in it, it's spinning up really gorgeous, and it's spinning up into a nice, beautiful thin yarn that is going to be next to skin soft for sure. So, okay, everybody, until next week, take care. Thank you so much for watching.